something that you may have used in a different format, whether it was like printing it or uploading it to the Google Drive or Google Classroom or what have you, how to get it into Canvas. This is one way to do it in an easy, practical, efficient way that won't hinder yourself or your students. We as teachers are often finding ourselves in the situation where we have to change or adapt how we do things because we are integrating new technology, new software, new platforms, whatever. So if you're moving from something, say, like Google Classroom to Canvas, which is the instance here with this particular teacher, you need to figure out ways to do that it's not eating up all of your planning time. I know that this is a big issue for a lot of teachers, and it can be frustrating sometimes. And I'm just hoping that this and other videos that I release on my teacher YouTube channel will help with that. So for this particular case, this colleague of mine, she has these daily warm-ups that she does for her math class. And what she does is she makes, 5 at a time, one for each day of the week, and it's just something, it's a warm-up. So it's to get the gears turning, whether it's to review previous content or to get them ready for new stuff, what have you. Whatever purpose you're using your warm-up for, in this instance, again, it's math. So the issue is that she would print these, cut them in half. She would print them, make copies enough for her students, and then, cut them in half so that Mondays are day 1, they would get this one. Tuesdays are day 2, they would get this one. And that's awesome. But now what we're doing is we're moving into Canvas, and we're doing this all in a virtual setting because of our current circumstances. So printing them and giving each student a copy is going to be impossible. So the question then is, how do you get this into Canvas to make it look good? Well, you can, like screenshot it or snip it, but then it gets kind of fuzzy. It's difficult for the kids to read. It takes kind of a while to take a snip of, like, say, this right here, and then this right here, because you have to save them as images and then upload them, and it's kind of irritating. Now, you could just copy and paste all this in, but I will show you what happens when you try to do that. So I am here in my sandbox, and I'm going to make a quiz. So I'll come to quizzes and new quiz. And the reason we're doing this as a quiz is because we want this to be graded by Canvas for us. There are other ways to get Canvas to grade it, but we're going to do it this way. So I'm going to name it Warm Up. Day 1. Not worried about spelling or capitalization and stuff like that. I know I should be because I'm a social studies and English teacher, but this is just for our purposes. So let's say we say, okay, well, why don't we just copy and paste that in there? All right. So we come into our quiz, we go to questions, we hit new question, and here's where you put your question, and then you will do your answer choices, and we'll get to that. So I'm going to take the first one, and I'm going to hit Control-C and copy it, and Control-V and paste it. Now, you can see there's an issue here. It doesn't paste the symbols in there. That's not good. That means I would have to go back and go 3x, crap, there's a space there. 3x, get rid of the space. 3x, get rid of the space. That's kind of annoying. I do not want to have to waste my time going back and reformatting everything. Right? So again, another option would be to take screenshots of everything and then edit it so that it's just the size of that question. That also is going to take way too long. We do not have time for that. There is an easier way. So I'm going to come back to details, and I'm going to show you One quick, easy way to get this, again, this is a specific example. There are some steps in here you may not need to do, but I'm going to go through all of it. Try to make this as complicated as possible with a Google Doc so that I can try to cover any questions or concerns that anyone might have. So I need to get day one separate from everything else. The great thing about this is she already has it in 2 columns, so it's very easy for me to take day one and separate it out from everything else. What I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight what I want, I'm going to copy it, hit Control C, and then I'm going to hit File, New Document. So we're going to get it all by itself. And then I'm going to hit Paste. And there it is. It's there all by itself. Right? I will go ahead and save this, and one of the things I really like about Google Docs is whatever is first is what it's going to want to name it. So I can just click there on Untitled Document and it'll rename it to Day 1. I can make a folder in my drive for like the week of this week, like week of September or whatever, and that way it will, so like I said, I could say the week of September 14th, right? I can make a folder in there for that and then save days 1 through 5 in that folder. But the important thing is now I have it here by itself. Okay, so how do we get all this into Canvas without having to mess with the formatting or anything? Well, what you can do, and you don't have to do it this way, again, this is just an option. So you can come back to the day 1 warm-up that we have separated from everything else. You can go up to File, and you can hit Download as, you can do Microsoft Word, or you can do PDF. I am going to do this as a Microsoft Word document. Does not matter. You can also do it as a PDF document. This is not, messing with this one is not going to affect this at all, because this is your document in your drive. This is not. This is now a completely separate document. Any changes I make to this document will not happen on this one. Okay? So now I come to my unnamed quiz, and for the, go to the Details tab, this is where you put the quiz instructions. So I can just type here, use the warm-up to complete or to answer the following questions. Okay? Hit enter. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach this file. Now you may say, well, that's kind of annoying, right? Because then they're going to have to open the file and then flip back and forth between the quiz tab and the Google document tab. Our kids have Chromebooks, so they'll be flipping between the different tabs, the Google document and the quiz, the Google document and the quiz. Well, no, they actually don't have to do that. And here's how you do it. So we're going to come to this one right here. It looks like a piece of paper. You're going to click Upload Document. Now down here, that is that document that I downloaded. It is the day 1 warm-up by itself. I'm going to drag and drop that into the file upload box and then hit submit. So now there's an adorable little link right there. That's a hyperlink. Hyperlinks, obviously we all know, show up in blue. So when a student sees this, they will see it in blue. When they scroll over it, they can click on it. That's cool, but I don't want them to have to open a separate document to do this quiz. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the link and hit Link Options. Now over here it'll tell you, okay, this is what the text is. I can change this to, say, day 1 warm-up, so it's not named after the file, right? Boom. If they actually click on the link, it will take them to the location of the file and they will be able to download it. But it's not going to be necessary, because what we're going to do is we're going to check this box right here. Automatically open an inline preview. Preview displays only after saving. If you don't see this come up as a preview while you're working on this, don't panic. It's only going to show up as a preview after you save it. So I'm going to make sure that box is checked and I'm going to hit done. So now, again, it's not showing up, but watch what happens when we hit save. So now I'm going to hit preview. And what the preview button does is it shows you what it's going to look like for the students. So here's the instructions. There's the worksheet right there. Right? So now you say, okay, that's great. It's in the instructions. Is that going to show up when they go to do the questions? Well, we'll tell you what. Let's find out. Let's hit keep editing this quiz. Questions. New question. So now what we can do is we can, instead of typing in all of that stuff from right here, and remember if we try to copy and paste it, it doesn't go so well. Now what we can do is we come back to it and go, okay, write the example in an exponential form, 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. So I know that the right answer for that is going to be 3 to the 4th power. Here is one thing you're going to run into with Canvas, especially if you're a math teacher. When you go to type things like hypertext, like up higher or down lower, you can't just do that. So you actually have to come over here and hit this little pencil button. So we'll click on that, and now we will have the ability to do the exponent, the superscript and the subscript. That's what it's called. Nailed it. So for this answer, I always make the first answer the right answer because you can scramble them afterwards, but it automatically defaults to the first one being the right answer. So I always make sure that the first answer I put in is the correct answer. So I'm going to put 3 to the 4th power. So I type 3, I hit this button to make it be superscript, and then I type the number 4. If I were to hit the arrow next to it, I could then change it to subscript instead of superscript, but I want it to be superscript. So that is the right answer. Hit done. And now for these others, I can put possible answers in. So yeah, sure, Jimmy, that works. Telekinesis, nailed it, or 1. Okay, so now I can hit update question. Right? Okay, we're going to hit save. Alright, so now when you go to actually give your quiz, you're going to have a bunch of options that you can do and everything. You make it a graded quiz. You put it, assign it to whatever group you want. You can make this a classwork grade even though it says that it's a quiz. For our district, we have weighted categories, so everything is 100 points, but quizzes are worth more than classwork. Classwork is worth more than homework. Tests are worth the most. So I'm going to have this as a graded quiz, and I'm going to change the assignment category to whatever my weighted category is. In this case, I would put it as classwork, because those are the 4 categories that we use. I'm going to sync it to SIS. I'm going to shuffle my answers. That way the first answer isn't the correct answer every time. You can set a time limit. You can do all that. You can set it so that you will show them the correct answers. So if this is Monday's warm-up, if you want to have a thing where later that day you want them to be able to see the right answer, or if you have them all together working virtually as a group and you started at 9 and by 9:15 they should be done, you can set it so that it'll show it at that time on that date, all that stuff. You can require an access code, all that, set your due date. I'll go ahead and just set a mock due date as, let's say the 18th, sure, why not. And we're going to be making it available. We make things available for a week. So for our purposes, I'm just going to do the 14th through the 18th. But we actually make everything available for at least 1 week, because it's virtual stuff. There's different challenges that different kids face. We're going to hit save. Now, okay, we have the worksheet on there, we have the preview, so it shows up nice and big and bold. But the question is, are they going to have that for each individual question? So let's hit our preview button right here. Quiz instructions. Use the warm-up to answer the following questions. Write the example in exponential form, 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Okay, so this is our warm-up right here. There's question 1 right there. The question appears right underneath the instructions. Okay? So if we go keep editing this quiz, come back to our questions. Now because this isn't question number 1, question number 2, question number 3, what we can do is we can edit this so we can make it say question A. Right? That way it'll say on there which question that they should be referring to on that worksheet. And hit update question. Let's put a new question in. We'll call this one question B. Right? So I'm going to look back here. Which is not a perfect square? 49, 36, 121, or 255? 255 is not a perfect square. I am amazing at math. I impress myself. So we have this renamed to question B. Let's put our answer choices in. We know 255 is the correct answer because that is not a perfect square. Let me look real quick. 49, 36, 121. 49, 36, tap, 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 121. Right? Because 6 times 6 is 36, 7 times 7 is 49, and 11 times 11 is 121. So those three are perfect squares, so that 255 is the one that isn't. Nailed it. And again, remember, the correct answer defaults to the first one. And we've already scrambled the answer choices, so it will not show up as the first choice. Update question. Save. Now this may seem like it's taking a long time, but I promise you, once you do it once or twice, it will go extremely quickly. And the great thing about this is, yeah, it takes a few minutes to get it all set up for one of these 5-question warm-ups, but the cool part is that, like, you know, in the amount of time it would take to make the copies, you will have this quiz completely done and ready to go, and it will grade it for you. And that is extremely helpful. So let's come back into our editing. We have our answers shuffled. Yeah, that you can mess with all that stuff if you want to. I'm going to have show one question at a time. I'm not going to lock the questions after answering. I like to do this just so it doesn't bog the kids down. If there's a lot more stuff on the page than the one question they're working on, it challenges some kids a little bit more. So, you know, we're trying to make it as easy as possible. Go ahead and hit save. So now we have 2 questions. So now the question we have to ask ourselves is, okay, we know with the first one the sheet shows up. Does it show up with the second question as well? Let's look. Let's hit preview. Use the warm-up to answer the following questions. Okay. Question 1. Write the example in exponential form. Okay. This one. Next. Use the warm-up to answer the following questions. Question 2. It's there. Look at that. So you do not have to snip a bunch of things and save them and do all that nonsense. You can just take the entire thing, upload it, turn the preview to automatic, and you're good. And again, I cannot stress enough how great it is for you to have this grade things like this for you. It's a huge chunk of time that is lifted off of your shoulders. And then once you have all of the grades in, You can go in and look at everybody's scores individually. You can look at the scores for the class as a whole or for all of your kids as a whole and go, okay, why did everybody struggle with question one? What was it about that? Was it the wording? Whatnot? We're teachers. We love data. I really hope that this helps. Please let me know if there is anything you are struggling with or if you have any questions. You can shoot me an email. All of my colleagues, you guys and gals, know how to get in touch with me through email. So please do that. Yeah, until next time.